Now, technology has become increasingly important in order for newsrooms to stay relevant and match the times. To that end, an initiative supported by Google sees 20 African media innovators receiving a total of $1 million to develop digital projects that improve the quality of news across the continent. Justin Arenstein, Knight International Journalism Fellow, spoke to us earlier about the inaugural African News Innovation Challenge.
Right, Justin, this is a competition that really demonstrates to me that African journalism is coming of age. So give us a context to the competition. What were you looking for?
We're looking for things that could help media leapfrog this coming disruption that we're going to be seeing to the business model that underpins good journalism in Africa. So innovations, they don't have to be digitally driven, but they need to be able to position newsrooms to grow digitally. So we're looking at everything from editorial innovations through to the business model itself, to better ways for us to create more engaged discussions with our audiences.
We are going to work through some of the winners in just a moment, but you must have been surprised at not only the creativity that emerged from this, but the practicability of the whole thing as well.
Yeah, no, we were absolutely flabbergasted at firstly the breadth of interest. We had over 500 applications in a very short window when we called for ideas, and then also just the quality of some of those ideas as well.
What does that say about newsrooms in Africa?
I think that newsrooms are looking ahead, and they're seeing what's happened up in the US and in Europe, where we've seen an implosion of the business model that funds journalist salaries and the ability to get out there and do news on the ground. And they know that this is coming to Africa. For once, this delay or this lag that we have in Africa because of technological challenges has played in our favor. It's given us a bit of a window period. And luckily, media being forward-looking in many places has realized that they need to start adopting new solutions now to avoid the same kind of calamity we've seen in the north.
Are you able to benchmark some of these ideas against global best practice and tell us, are we ahead or behind the curve?
Well, in terms of mobile and specifically what we're calling bottom of the pyramid, mobile penetration. So this is your text-based and your almost dumb phone audience connection. We're definitely ahead of the curve. In some places like East Africa, in terms of mobile payments and the ability to integrate that into news products, we're also ahead of the curve. And these audiences are not just the privileged elites that you see in many other parts of the global south. We're now able to reach far wider audiences. When it comes to some of the efficiencies around news production, I think that we do lag. And this is where what we're doing in this competition is often partnering African innovators with established pioneers in the places like the US and Europe and in the global south.
Do you think some of these ideas make for better journalism, or sometimes do we bypass that whole notion of fact-checking and gatekeeping because mobility and speed has become so important?
So we've specifically looked for solutions that help strengthen gatekeeping, the ability to verify information, but more importantly, because of this flood of information that comes out of social media, to find ways of extracting actionable intelligence, real sense and quality content out of that massive fire hose of information that all of us drown with the moment we switch on a mobile phone or a tablet or the internet.
Let's work our way through some of the winners. Unfortunately, time precludes us, Justin, from talking about all of them. But a concept called Act Now, it comes from Ghana. It's a mobile application that empowers audiences to act on investigative reportage.
That's correct. So just using a South African kind of example, you watch an investigative news program like a Carte Blanche or a Third Degree on a weekend. You watch a program that gets you really steamed. You want to do something to help fix whatever the injustice is that they've exposed. And then the program ends and you're left hanging. You don't know what to do. So what Act Now is proposing to do is create a way, firstly, to connect people who are interested and want to help act on the basis of what they've watched on television so that they can mobilize themselves. Secondly, it also gives them the ability to petition those in authority to say, we don't think this is right and we'd like something done to fix it. And then it also gives the ability for you, once you've watched the national program, to find out how that impacts on your town or your neighborhood. So it brings that news at a national level home and makes it personal.
To the point that you were raising earlier about how important it is that accuracy is not compromised in any way, this thing called Africa Check, it's a non-partisan and crowd-sourced fact-checking service. How does that work?
Well, it's based at Wits University, and they've set up a unit which does two things. Firstly, it looks into public statements made by public figures in the news that are often made and are not challenged. And they look into the accuracy of them. So they'll delve into the numbers and make sure that what we've been told publicly is actually based on real evidence and is accurate. And secondly, they look into media reporting to ensure that the media themselves got it right. And then they'll issue, if necessary, a rebuttal, or they'll show a confirmation and explain why something is accurate. It's already up and running, and it's already having a great impact.
Growing pressure of accountability can be very uncomfortable sometimes, but absolutely critical
for everyone, including newsrooms.
Indeed, I think the one that fascinated me more than anything else, African drone. It's been renamed Skycam. What is this?
So
it's a brilliant idea, isn't it?
A lot of newsrooms in Africa simply don't have the resources to have a news helicopter. So they can't get to, if you're in Kenya, for example, you can't get to the front line where there's fighting in Somalia. If you're in Nigeria, you can't get into the Niger Delta. In fact, you can't even do traffic control reporting in your own city. So the idea is to give newsrooms an ability to do this cost effectively. And we're going to be investing into 3 sample newsrooms, getting drones that will be able to go to rural or into rural places that people usually can't reach, or into natural disasters. And then also giving them helium balloons to do stationary reporting above cities. We're putting a lot of attention into safety there. So we need to think about ensuring these things don't crash into crowds, for example.
I am motivating for an ENCA drone. I think it's absolutely brilliant. The other thing that I know that's very close to your heart is data-driven journalism and the understanding of that data. Again, something called Code for Ghana. Absolutely critical.
Yeah. So one of the big issues is that we don't see enough evidence-based reporting in terms of hard analytical analysis of data, of economic trends, of budgets, even election results.
Are we lazy, or we simply don't get the numbers, or how to process the numbers?
I think in the past the tools are beyond our reach. The technology has improved to the stage now that we can start doing this in newsrooms. We can start doing this in civil society. So Code for Africa, which includes Code for Ghana and Code for South Africa, is now embedding engineers into newsrooms that they can build the tools that we need to tell better stories, but also give citizens better information to make decisions with.
Justin Orenstein, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And coming up on Mags on Media, 2 new local campaigns to look out for. One goes online, the other drives you down a wall and into a hole.
News that moves. ENCA.com.